Paleo Nick here. I've got PALEOCHEF's new wing sauce, and if you're familiar with their other products, you know this one will be great too. So double knot your shoelaces and tie down your taste buds because we're about to get radical with some PALEOCHEF wing sauce. All right, so the first thing I'd like to do is just show you my workstation. I've got a cutting board set up here with a couple of knives. Over here I've got a cast iron skillet, a plate with a paper towel and some tongs. We're gonna be using extra light olive oil. So I've got a jug of that here, and then obviously salt and pepper. That'll kind of go with everything that we make. Back here I've got some rough shredded or some large shredded coconut. I've also got coconut flour. I've got a pineapple and some jicama. I've got one jicama. Just over the sink we have some wings that I'm draining. And then a couple of bowls here. One empty bowl, a bowl with 2 eggs in it, the blender, and then I have one more large bowl for tossing at the end. So what is all this stuff gonna be? You're probably wondering. We're gonna make a coconut dusted chicken wing with jicama and pineapple. And it will be featuring, obviously, our PALEOCHEF wing sauce. So, here we go. All right, so our first step is to crack a couple eggs into a bowl. Just like that. Then I'm gonna whip these up. About like that. Okay, it doesn't have to be perfectly combined, but a good whip. On here, in this strainer, I have some chicken wings. I've rinsed these. It's kind of a practice that I like to do where I'll always rinse my chicken or most of my meats. Just kind of helps keep things clean and tasting fresh. So I'm gonna dump these into our eggs. All right. We'll just kind of, I can use that same fork to just kind of stir these up. And we'll let these rest. I'm gonna throw a little bit of black pepper in here right now. And we will add some salt just as we go to bread them. But if you add salt at this point, it'll start to break down the egg and this will get all watery and runny. So I'm gonna set this aside, let it marinate, and we will salt those as we bread them. All right, next up is to set up our breading. And if you've worked with coconut flour at all, you know that it absorbs a lot of moisture. It can kind of become mealy or spongy, I guess. Things that absorb moisture are spongy, right, Shabir? Gummy. So I'm gonna use some coconut flour, and then for the rest, I think these flakes are a little bit too big. So I'm gonna throw those in the blender, blitz them for a minute, and then I think we'll have them right where we want them. Kind of mix that up. And one more time. Oh, there we go. So not quite as big. It's kind of a rough chop. And we'll combine that with our coconut flour. Okay, so we've got our chicken wings in the pepper and eggs, and then we've got our breading right here. I'm gonna set those on a sheet pan on the stove top, and then turn the flame on my skillet and add some oil here. I'm probably gonna go maybe 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch deep. Not really doing a deep fry, it's more of a pan fry. And we'll call that good right there. We'll just turn each wing one time. So we've got maybe just under 1/2 inch of oil there. And then I'll just check my temperature here every so often to see where we're at. We're gonna try to bring that up to 350, 375. While that's heating up, we're gonna prep our jicama and pineapple. And I'll start with the jicama. I'm just gonna cut top and bottom off. And then you can peel this kind of like you would a melon. You can use a peeler if you want. The skin does get a little fibrous, so peelers don't always work the best. All right, there we go. So we got that peeled. With the jicama and the pineapple, the idea is to replace the celery sticks and carrot sticks that you have with the traditional wing preparation with these two items. So we're gonna cut these into batons, or what's called a batonette, which is just a fancy term for carrot stick. So I'm gonna square this off in order to do that, because we want it to look pretty nice and consistent. Boom. Boom. It's not perfect, but pretty close. Pretty good. One little tip, I like to add this to water and let it rest. And then I'll also throw a couple ice cubes right on top. Keep that nice and cold. I'm just gonna set that in the sink. All right, and if you're looking for something creative to do with your jicama scraps, you always have Paleo Nick's famous Chipotle jicama slaw. So check that out on PALEOCHEF.com. I'm just gonna set these aside for now, and I'll throw some of that slaw together tonight for dinner. All right, pineapple's up next. I'm just gonna take the top off. I like to use a serrated knife for pineapple. It's because of the tough skin. Saws through there a little bit better. Then I use these eyes as a guideline. Cut this right down the center. Cut the core out. And again, the core, you can actually eat that. Most people don't, they cut it out because they think they have to, but the reason we cut it out is just because it's a little bit tougher than the rest of it. Still good stuff. All right, so now we want to get this in a similar shape to our jicama. And then towards the outside, it's going to get a little bit tricky because this stuff could fall apart. But we're looking good. I'm just going to cut these guys in half. There we go. Similar size to our baton. And then if we're limited there, we can always cut our jicama down to match this size. Does that make sense? Okay, so we're looking good here. We're just over 375. I'm gonna add some salt to my chicken wings. Do that one last stir. And then with this, I'll keep a wet hand and a dry hand. Boom, wet hand. Dry hand, we'll drop it right in there. So, wet hand. There we go. So we've got 7 of them in there. I'll watch the temperature here. Well, we're down to about 325, so I'm just gonna keep the flame on hot. We don't really wanna get below 325. Keep it nice and hot. We'll fry these for maybe 2 minutes here, then we'll flip them over. Check back in then. All right, so we're about 2 minutes in here. I'm gonna give these guys a turn. This is what you call GBD, golden brown and delicious. But you can see with the coconut, it gets kind of a darker color, darker brown, but similar to what you'd find with like coconut shrimp. So that's what we're going for. Just give these guys a turn. We'll give them another couple minutes and then check the temp before we pull them out. Okay, so next up I've got just a probe thermometer. I'm gonna stick it in a big little, the drummy portion and right down against the bone. We're looking for 165. Go, 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 go. 160, slowly moving. We hit it, okay? We're good. Don't mess around with chicken, guys. Cook it. Who likes to bite into a chicken wing and have a bunch of red blood oozing out? So good. I'm just gonna pull these guys out. All right, so we've got our wings. I always like to use a large bowl for tossing or mixing. So I'm gonna dump these in there. Then I've got my wing sauce. We'll go about that much. We'll go a little bit more. There we go. So about like that. And then I'll just set these over next to the hot pan here while I prepare my plate. One more like that. What do you think of that? Does it look like a good bed?
It's pretty good.
Good bed for, okay, cool. And then we'll take our wings. We'll place them. There we have it, coconut dusted chicken wings with jicama and pineapple, featuring Paleo Chef's new wing sauce. I'm Paleo Nick, as always, doing what I can to help you keep it paleo.